In this section, we're going to be covering the idea of blunders. So to start, we're going to talk about just what is a blunder. And its basic definition is going to be referring to any sort of mistake. Now, I think it's officially like a careless mistake, but we're going to elaborate on that definition to try to make sense in the military sphere of things. An example of this idea of blunders is, let's say I have my men defending down here against a force. Now up here, if this unit, let's say, were to be engaged and it was, let's say, destroyed, whether that was because I failed to send in reserves or my cavalry didn't get there in time, let's just say this unit perished. In of itself, that is not necessarily a blunder. It depends on why this unit perished, why it was over here. Kind of going back to the idea of defeat and destroy from the last video, it's all about mission intent. How important was this land for that unit to hold? You know, how much, what was it worth for a unit being destroyed? Was it worth it? If it was worth it, right? If it did buy time for the rest of the army to come up, or maybe perhaps this was a small or maybe it gave these guys time to defeat whatever army was over here, and now they're going up to defeat whatever killed that one unit. That right there is, strategic planning at its finest. But however, if this unit just died for nothing, right? Let's say the whole army was up here, but yet I'm really hopeful that they do something and I can get, just a funny kill, kind of pin some people. In that case, then that would be a blunder, because now I'm wasting troops, I'm wasting resources, and now I'm definitely wasting and, compromising my position, because I have to shift everything as they pour in through this up here. So from that example, we can kind of see how just losing units is not necessarily a blunder, right? A bigger blunder, as I said before, if this was very strategic or tactically important and the time that those people bought for the rest of the army was very significant, that wouldn't be a blunder even though we lost an entire unit. What would be an even bigger blunder was if I had cavalry in the back and I'm fighting up here and I just completely forget about them. But expanding onto that idea of not utilizing troops, let's say hypothetically these men are engaged along this front and I have my horse up here not doing anything, right? Now, according to the last example of not utilizing my troops, that could be considered a blunder. But see, we have mission intent in this case. These aren't just here because I forgot about them. They're waiting for the perfect opportunity to push maybe around here and get behind whatever I'm engaging with my infantry. My infantry are pinning the army that they are fighting, and my cavalry is waiting for an opportunity to attack the sides or the rear, or maybe the enemy leaves an artillery piece in the rear unprotected that my cavalry can pounce on the minute it gives it, the chance. So in this case, leaving this here because of mission intent, waiting for an opportunity, that's not necessarily a blunder. Now, of course, it could become a blunder if I get too caught up microing this front line and, again, forget that he's there. Oh, look, this enemy is, showing his back. He's about to rout. If only I were to use this cavalry. Nope, I forgot about it. I'm looking over here, not up there. In that case, that is a blunder. It's like that kind of concept, right? So the use of troops, whether they are active or just passive, it all depends on intent and, of course, on if you actually execute the order that you are looking to execute. So this right here is another example of a blunder. He might get lucky here, but no. But as you can see, now of course this is AI, but this does happen to the best of us, and I have an example for it in just a second. But when these guys are shooting, they're not shooting anything. They're shooting this here, and don't think that this doesn't happen to the best of us. Well, is he going to get lucky or is it going to go? Nope. But I can give you a real example from my own experience playing war games. Playing Flashpoint campaigns, I hit an entire artillery battery in the rear that was supposed to help me with the mission. The entire mission, I did not know how to use it. I kind of forgot about it, and I didn't have them on the proper setting to allow the frontline units to call them in, meaning that I just had artillery that was pretty much doing no better than this right here, but at least these guys got to have fun and shoot a gun. Oh, that one might be no, too far. And so as you can see here, when we look at the idea of a blunder, a mistake, it could be something as simple as putting your artillery in a place that they can't shoot, right? They can't shoot over this. It's not going past it. So this right here is just an example of how And again, this kind of goes to other things, right? When you look at Steel Division, for example, maybe Company Heroes is another good one. Ranges on artillery, right? How often do you put guns in the way back thinking that they're secure just to realize that they can't actually engage the target that you want them to because they're too in the back? Going back into the idea of mission intent, my horses have been hiding over on this flank for a while, kind of being passive, not being useful. But now, as you can see, it's because their main mission was to be to a flank, and they're going all the way back. As you can see, the artillery is back here by itself, undefended. Now, there's no reason for me not to just give a charge, because there's nothing over here that can help them. So how many times do we leave artillery in the way back thinking that it's going to be safe? How many times do we not fully fortify the flanks? Now, this is just an example. This is supposed to give me the advantage. This was supposed to allow me to win and show off this blunder, but it's, you know, it happens still nonetheless, right? How many times do we forget to have cavalry defend our flanks? How many times do we have machine guns, you know, not defending the right avenues of approach, and all of a sudden our mortars or heavy support weapons are being shot at and killed? Or even just the flank of our main infantry are being exposed because we're not covering flanks. That right there is a blunder. So when we look at this example in regiments, I tried to get it to work in Wargame, but Wargame is just a little difficult to play, especially when it's the AI, with just the amount of spam that they're doing. But what I'm doing right here is technically kind of like two different types of blunders. The first one, the example I was trying to say, is my artillery is way out of the way. As you can see, the range here, it doesn't even cover my frontline units. So in the field manual for the Rifle Infantry Platoon and Squad 3-21.8, I believe, they say something about infantry, and it's the idea that, or maybe just combat forces in general, but it applies to everything. But it's infantry are attacking or they're preparing to attack. And that's what you look at with this, right? These guys are completely being like kind of unsupported, but then these guys down here, they're not doing anything. They're not capturing that, going back to mission intent, right? What are they defending? What are they, in this case, what are they preparing to attack? Because it doesn't look like they're doing any of that. So we have to kind of, you know, quote unquote, we have to wake up and we have to start utilizing these troops in the rear. Another big thing, this is something that you don't really see with Total War, because Total War is like a pure 1v1 type of game mode. But this one has a point system, right? We can get a new task force. We've just been kind of camping and just kind of taking a back seat, not really worrying about what's going on in the front line. But it's like this right here. I could call in both of these units, easy peasy, but if I'm not, my points are going up. But that's especially true when you look at games like Company of Heroes, Steel Division, Warno, Wargame. They all play on this point system, to where if you're just hoarding points, you're not doing yourself a favor. This right up here, this is going to be another example of a blunder. I don't have troops. Like, I should pull him back. This unit is all by itself. It's being defended from here. These tanks are kind of shooting up here, but the minute a unit comes from over here, it's going to kill my artillery. So for our final example of battlefield blunders, we're going to Graviteam Tactics to kind of look at a more situation environment type blunder. So with this, I don't know if the tactical map will show it. It does, fighting 2 cavalry units, or 2 cavalry platoons and a light tank platoon. We know, you know, information shows that they're probably going to be coming from the section up here. When you look at my position here, is there anything that you notice as kind of being a tactical blunder? If you called out these units up here and kind of these units down here, you would be correct. We are guarding this town. We're not guarding this little ridge line here. On top of that, just to say, for my sake in this example, this is a river that is not crossable. It has to be forded at this location over here, which is another position that we are holding on to. So for, you know, for the sake of the argument, let's say this is completely impassable. Why are we going to be guarding something that the enemy isn't going to be attacking from? Because it's a giant river. This is a natural defense barrier. At least at our small level unit engagement here, we don't need to worry about it too much because of 2 big reasons. One, this game doesn't have any sort of bridge building or amphibious kind of like tanks. So we don't have to worry. We don't have to worry about, you know, like a BTR, right? This is World War II. Like a BTR isn't going to come in here, you know, motorboat itself across and start attacking from our rear. we're probably, and on top of that, the strategic objective here is this. So why would the enemy waste vital resources attacking something so useless as the back line across a river they probably cannot, cross? And then when we look at this position down here, there's two things that need to be talked about. Yes, these units do cover large areas with their, being able to see, right? They can see this large area here. Yes, they can potentially shoot lots of, rounds down range. And, my Pack 38, of course, hopefully killing the light tanks. The machine gun can suppress any unit that is trying to attack this from at least this front. But it goes to the concept of where are they going to go, right? These aren't really defended, at least not from a traditional point of view. Yes, my infantry do see them and they can kind of assist them, but the minute that any sort of infantry or tanks get over here, they're just going to run these units over, suppress them with machine guns, and take them out ultimately. Where are they going to go? These units cannot just simply, especially the pack gun, it's not going to just, pick itself up and start walking down this very open, cliff here, not cliff, but, this little hill here, and start going all the way down, especially when you look at that being, here, can we, so it's about like 100 meters. They have to pull their Pack 38 100 meters to the rear just to try to get out of the line of sight. And the same can be said about the machine gun, if not, if, kind of in a worse position. It's out in the wide, exposed open. People are going to be putting shots down here. The minute that they get suppressed or engaged by the enemy, they just kind of have to hope and pray that we win, so that way they don't have to try to do a hasty kind of runaway, especially because trying to pack up the machine guns, try to get the tripod and all the ammunition, God forbid we have to move the Pack 38 down there, trying to move it across this large open terrain here without any sort of cover or concealment, this is just asking to lose these units the minute that they get shot at. Even looking at these Pack 38s back here, we can kind of look at their field of view. They can see all of this, right? They can see all of this here, and what it does have is it has the concealment on if they get shot. On top of that, this is so far away. I mean, we can take a look. How far is that? About 1,000 meters, right? And then it's about 1,200-ish. Well, it looks like 1,200 is about the extent, maybe 1,400 if you look at this area, but where they're probably going to be coming from, it's about 1,000 to 1,200 meters away. Now, that is, I do believe the Pack 38 will engage at that distance, unlike other arcadey type of games like Steel Division, Company of Heroes, Regiments even, these don't have a effective range cap, so I do believe that they will put targets or put rounds down range to engage a tank. And as I added, what these guys are to be shot at, one, they already have some cover and concealment. This is a bunch of tree line and bush. When range or when, bullets start flying, they're probably not going to be spotted instantly, especially when there's an entire platoon up on this, on the city itself already putting shots down range. And if they do need to retreat, they can simply run back into here, and all of a sudden it's just a bunch of trees that they can fall back into.